This is Speakeasy with Cheesemondo on RPO Radio, broadcasting real people's opinions.
And hello there, everyone. You are indeed listening to RPO Radio. I am Cheesemondo, and this is Speakeasy. If it is your first time here, this is not a debate or a debunking show. This is a genuine call-in show. I want to hear your paranormal, supernatural stories, experiences, beliefs. The weirder, the better. Particularly looking for Bigfoot stories, aliens, UFOs. I would love to hear something about UFO alien abduction. Massive fan of Bigfoot, as I've said. We had a superb call last week from Frank, who told us all about his ghost friend, whose name eludes me currently, but I'm sure somebody in the side chat will remind me. That was a really great call. We've also had other great calls, such as the Tokoloshi, which is a South African imp. The idea being that whoever was lowest in the room would be killed by the imp. That actually led to a significantly less deaths from carbon monoxide poisoning when they were building fires inside their homes. I'm a little muffled. We can hear just a little bit, just like there's a sock over the mic. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What on earth has happened there, I wonder? I don't know. That is interesting. Because all of my lights are lit up as normal. How does that sound now? Because I can't hear myself. If I talk a little bit, better into the microphone, is that any better? Because it sounded okay to me before the show, but then you're never sure what it sounds like when it goes out over the tubes. Let me just make sure I've got the right. I have got the right mic on. That is interesting. I'm going to turn myself up a little bit and see if that helps. How about that? So, as I was saying, yes, the Tokoloshi. Apologies if I butchered that one, but that is a superb. It's not a volume thing; it's a clarity thing. Might be a bit too much EQ. It's really odd because it's all set. I actually don't know. I actually don't know. That is going to drive me nuts because I can't hear what that sounds like. Okay, there are. I'm going to try and plod on a bit. There's 6 people watching. I'm going to try and figure out as I go along what has happened to this. And hopefully this mic isn't on the fritz. You never know. It could just be a weird mic position thing. Because I haven't got any EQ set on this, which is what makes it particularly tricky. It's a horrible, horrible microphone. Why would it be muffled? That sounds like... Why would that be muffled? I don't know. I don't know why that is kind of odd. Let's try... Oh, I tell you what, YouTube's just upset. YouTube's upset with me, so there is a problem with the audio. I don't know if I can change that while I'm live. That's really, really bad. I'm very sorry. I just think it's your Barry White orange when you went into the upper. Oh, okay. Let's just try this. What about that? If I just do that, and then I probably sound a little bit kind of weird, but that might be a little bit better. If anyone can tell me. So Tokalashi is a superb one. I have had a Bigfoot call, which I'm particularly pleased with. If you are from any of the paranormal groups that I have been sending messages to or promoting, now it's clear. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. If you are from any of the paranormal groups that I have been sending messages to, promoting the show to, when you join the call, if you do want to share a call with us, you're amongst friends. Have a look in the side chat. There are should be a few mods in there at least. Chris Durham is not a mod. How is that not the case on this channel? Okay, now you are. You're amongst friends, and if you go back, if you've listened to any of the calls, everyone gets a really fair, a really fair experience. I actually enjoy listening to other people's stories. So feel free to call in. There is nobody on the lines right now, but what I've seen in previous shows is I have to talk for about 20 minutes before somebody will call in. I have been hammering a number of paranormal groups, probably around, probably in total about 250,000 people I've been harassing to come on the show. Part of the issue is when they look at my channel, they can see some of the debunking stuff that I've done and some of the flat earth stuff. I'm going to move this microphone down out of my face. Now I've figured out the audio. And that's not what this show is about. This is genuinely just trying to figure out what people have got going on, what their experiences are, and as I said, you're amongst friends. So I've been looking out. I spend all week looking out for happy 4th of July to all of my American friends and subs as well. I was in the mountains over the weekend with the family. We were in a cabin in the forest. I didn't get to see Bigfoot, but I did find my first mountain lion footprint, which it was a huge thing, which is a new one on me because we don't have them in Britain. We don't have anything that big, really. So to find a big cat footprint, and it was a big footprint of a cat, I'm telling you, was kind of cool. I wanted to go looking for it, but apparently that's a really stupid thing to do, so we didn't, or I didn't. I will go back one day. Also, so that's my first mountain lion footprint. I haven't seen Bigfoot yet, but I was looking, and no sign of Bigfoot, but I had my eyes peeled. A few dead deer, a few deer skulls around, which was kind of odd, and then I found a few torn limbs of, no word of a lie, torn limbs from deer on the trail that we were on. And I might post, I don't know whether Instagram will let me, but I might post a picture to Instagram later. If, I don't know, it might count as gruesome. But yeah, so it was a good weekend. I've learned today about some people that think that Bigfoot might be the missing link. That's quite an old view of Bigfoot. The more modern view, he's a trans-dimensional being able to leap in and out of our plane of existence at will with adaptive cloaking armor. I've also been watching The Missing 411, which is a documentary that will be on YouTube in about 50 or 60 years. In about 2021, you're going to find that on YouTube for free because it used to be a paid for thing. That's the idea that there are, in the American national parks, there is a significant amount of people that go missing, and they're not going missing randomly, they're going missing in clusters. which is what piqued my interest in it. And the Missing 411 series has covered a lot of things, but this was particularly about hunters, and these are usually able guys and ladies. Let's not be sexist about this, although they only report ladies in the thing. I think ladies they only report men in the thing. I think ladies have got more sense than to get lost in national parks. But this idea that there's clusters of people who go missing, and they all have these similar characteristics about them. They're usually near some kind of rock feature or scree field. They're normally near water. They're normally found missing some items of clothing, and they disappear without a trace. In some case, they turn up in places that have been searched. In some cases, a year later, which is really interesting. The Missing 411 is I'm not sure how true the whole thing is, but it's actually quite interesting. And the fact that hunters would go missing, especially when they've been hunting in the same places for an amount of time, is really quite cool. Still nobody on the lines. How is everyone doing in side chat? I can see Chris is in there, Jin is in there. Who else is in? If you're in side chat, make yourself known and I'll shout you out. There's 6 people watching. Normally it takes a little bit for everyone to get in. I don't have any major announcements. I should start making announcements and things at the start of the show. What you all could do is, after we're done here, head on over to Tusk's channel, because Tusk has started doing what I believe he's going to be calling Tea Time with Tusk, which is basically his take on some awesome recipes, and he cooks it live. And I've asked him to cook something steak and ale based, and hopefully he's going to do something next weekend. Or anytime he wants to cook that for me, I will watch and probably cook along as well. The way he does it is really, really clear, and I quite like his style. So check out Tusk's channel. I'm not sure he'll thank me for that. I'm not sure. We'll see. Jin says, wonder if anyone from UFOsummit.com would give you an interview. They might. I've asked a few people. I have asked a few people would they like to come on. And there are certainly lots and lots of groups, lots and lots of large groups on the socials. As I said, it's about 250,000 people in all the different groups that I've tried to get conversations with, and they're all a little bit skeptical, and nobody really wants to commit because they're not sure if I'm being genuine or not. But hopefully, if I keep doing this for long enough, I will start getting calls from those types of people. And I would love a good UFO. I want a real, truly mind-blowing UFO call at some point, because I'm not sure I've seen a UFO yet. I've probably told you all before, I've been out in the street, and the neighbors have all been staring up at the sky and taking pictures, and I say all, there was about 10 people in the street. And what was happening is Starlink was going over, but the angle it was at, it looked like the lights were appearing from behind a cloud and shooting off into the sky. So it looked like some kind of formation, but it was actually Starlink. But for a few moments there, some of the neighbors were not quite sure what they were looking at. So there's still 6 people watching. I can still only see Chris and Jin in the side chat. So if anyone else is there, make yourself known, and I will give you a shout. Has anyone in side chat got anything they want to ask? Any ideas? I keep looking around because there's a weird noise behind me, and I can't tell what it is. And I don't mean that in a spooky way. It's like air conditioning or something like that, but it's a high-pitched noise. Looks like a squeaky screw. I don't know if you guys can hear it on the stream, but it's distracting that I can hear it. If anyone in side chat or watching, if you are watching, jump into side chat and join in with us that way, and we'll see what you've got to talk about. But yeah, so I've been out. I had a full break from socials and electronic stuff over the weekend. and was luckily up in the mountains of Colorado in a cabin. Only one electrical outlet in the. It wasn't quite as free as electricity I was liked, but only one electrical outlet in the cabin, and it was a fantastic area and lots and lots of great trails. They've just put. It was only a Black Hawk, so I was able to get some gambling in. For anyone who wants a point of reference. But I do, if anyone watching does know anyone who has had a supernatural paranormal experience or believes this stuff, if they go to psychics or if they've seen ghosts or if they believe the house is haunted or there's a noise in the basement or whatever it is, send them one of the links to the show, send them one of the short clips if you want to, get them to see what they think of it, and then maybe they'll call in. But the only way this show is going to grow is if we share it out and it gets a bit of traction. What's happening at the moment is it's only really my subs that are watching, which is a shame. I get the occasional new person wandering in, but I'm trying to figure out how to make this one grow. And at the moment, it's not. YouTube doesn't seem to be pushing it. But whether or not I've had a few channel problems recently, which I won't bore anyone with, but a few channel problems, a few bots have been hitting my channel, and I've ended up with people reporting my videos as well. So I've clearly upset somebody somewhere, and I'm just not sure why. But hopefully that's the end of it. I've sorted that out. Hopefully, Forgotten Shadows. I'm an occasional new person, but I have no idea what this is, so I'm not sold yet. Forgotten Shadows. Hello. So for being as you've asked the question and said you don't know what this is about yet, this is a paranormal supernatural call-in show. And really, I'm just looking for people to call in and tell me. And if you do sell me, I'll be a sub and not an occasional new person. I'll be back to square one. Cool. So this is a legitimate call-in show. I've only been doing this for about a month. 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We've had some really good calls. We've had a Bigfoot, a few ghost calls. Civil War Ghost was a really good one. Ghost at the Closing Door is a particularly good one, if you can find that on my channel. The Civil War one is a caller was rushed by some ghosts that appeared to be... Well, she was on a Civil War battleground, I believe, and she was rushed by what she thought were Civil War ghosts. We talked about Tokoloshi, which is a South African. That was an amazing call. Tokoloshi, which is a South African imp that is fabled to have killed whoever sleeps lowest in the room. And it turned out that South African a folklore story actually saved lives because fewer and fewer people were dying of carbon monoxide poisoning in their houses because they were still lighting fires indoor, of course. What else? Last week we had Frank call in. We've had Frank call in a few times. That's such a really specific thing for it to target. Yes. It was. Yes. So what so Forgotten Shadows? The reason why this became such a big thing. So there was this idea that whoever was lowest to the floor would die. So what people in South Africa did in their houses was started building their beds on breeze box. And you can listen to the full call. It was a guy called Gregory. It was about 2 weeks ago. It'll say Tokoloshi on the thumbnail on my channel. But they started putting their beds on breeze blocks. And as people got higher with the breeze blocks, they didn't want to be the lowest person in the room, so the beds got higher and higher and higher. Carbon monoxide will sit near the floor, and as it turned out, that a folklore story and a practice to save you from the imp actually saved lives, which really blew my mind. And I think a few people who were in the side chat and watching found that really interesting as well. I'm waffling because I don't actually have any callers, but it's normally about half an hour into the show before somebody would call in. Yeah, it sounds much like something that would fit in a fairy tale. It's an odd thing, and I guess a byproduct of it was few people actually died of carbon monoxide poisoning. But that was a fantastic call. Gregory reached out to me on Discord, and we had a bit of a chat about it on Discord, and then I was lucky enough for him to call in. I set to show up at the right day, the right time, and he was available. Forgotten Shadows. How did you find this show then? How did you find? Are you from one of the groups that I've been posting? What era was it? It was fairly recent. It would have been South Africa in the past 100 years, I guess, because breeze blocks were available. But Forgotten Shadows, how did you find the channel? Did you happen across it at random, or are you from one of the groups that I've posted the links in? How did you get here? Always interested to find how new people and how they made it here, because that means I must be doing something right, but I'm never sure what I'm doing right. Because it's tricky to get people to call into these things, because they are immediately skeptical, because they do assume that anyone who runs this sort of thing is going to point and laugh, which is not what this is about at all. And it was supposed to be an imp. It wasn't a monster. It was an imp. And I don't remember the full details of the call, because I've spoken to some other people since. But it was if I recall it correctly, it's a South African imp that creeps into your house and kills the person lowest to the floor. And obviously there would have been some truth to that, because people were dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. And they realised that people higher in the rooms wouldn't have died. So it became this almost tradition to build your bed on breeze blocks. And it was only when somebody looked at it, they figured out that the reason why people were dying was carbon monoxide and not because of a South African imp. No, I've never met you or anything that's associated with you. I searched paranormal on YouTube, then turned on live filter, then scrolled. Awesome. That's exactly how Frank found me last week. So the fact just by virtue of being live. Awesome. Thank you very much, Forgotten Shadows. That's really good to know. Because it would never occur to me to go to search for something on YouTube that way. And I've been worrying about keywords and trying to get the algorithm to pick up the show and things like that. And obviously it's damn tricky to get your head around that thing. But if people are just searching for live, then that gives me some hope that people will turn up and watch. Awesome. Has anyone got any questions, thoughts? There's still nobody on the lines. I'm going to give it another 9 minutes or so you might have to listen to me waffle. It's normally about halfway through the show before somebody will call in. And if they don't, then I'll wrap up. And there'll be another show on Thursday, 2 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Mountain time, and that's like 9 p.m. UK time. And let me just unblock that. For sure, I'm sure the vast majority of your potential audience is being cut by the fact that live streams are defaulted and that this topic is fairly niche. It is, yes, it is a fairly niche thing, and that's why I am. The fact is, unless you're already subbed, you usually have to go out of your way to turn on the live filter and find stuff like this. And you're absolutely right, Forgotten Shadows. That's the trouble I've got at the moment. That's why I don't have any callers right now. Is most of my subs were good enough to call in with their stories the first few shows, and I'm not getting as many new people as I would have liked. But that is by virtue of the way YouTube works, and then not everyone is looking for live supernatural paranormal call-in show. Which is why I'm pushing it on the socials and things like that. But it is going to take a while. I'm fully appreciative that it is going to take a while. That not everyone is going to want to call in, because they're going to say it's just some other joker on the internet that wants cheap laughs and things like that, and that's not the case. And that's why I've put a number of the call clips I've put up on the channel. And then if people do want to check out before they call in, then they can do that, and we actually have a bit of fun with it. I've not managed to upset Not managed to upset anyone. Opening up to Discord calls would help. I know, but the issue I've got is Discord. I need somebody to bounce the room. I did think about it, but it leaves itself open to all kinds of audio issues. The reason I use this system is to get onto the show, you have to speak, and it's got to understand you, which means your microphone works and you can hear. But Discord would mean when I was testing it, I would have to pause the show, go into Discord, and move somebody into a different room, which is how people like Mr. Sensible do it, and it does work quite well. But he's normally got somebody bouncing that Discord room. I am tempted with Discord, but I've already had somebody call in, drop an M-bomb on me, so that's the call system filters that out now. It filters out idiots like that. So it's tricky because I do want to make it inclusive so people can call in, but I don't want to give people free reign so they can say whatever they want, which Discord would. I don't have any moderators. I don't have any moderators or anyone to run the show, and until it gets bigger, I'll keep using this system. But there is a web app. You can use a web app to call in. You don't necessarily have to use the phone line. I might look at doing Discord in future, but it's running a show on my own is tricky enough without managing people on Discord as well. But yeah, you're not the first person to suggest Discord. It just makes it really, really tricky because then I did put in a pause screen for the show. I have got a pause screen. I might even show you.
This is Speakeasy with Cheesemondo on RPO Radio, broadcasting real people's opinions.
There we go. That was. I was going to use that for Discord and things like that, but actually, until the show is big enough, there's no point in getting somebody else to sit around. And I will do. There is a robot that answers the calls at the moment, but once I do get once we are busier, I would you'd actually speak to a person instead of a robot. I would also recommend Twitch. I was gonna do I've got the gear to do a Twitch stream. What would you recommend with that one, Forgotten Shadows? Would you say something like was it just talking? Because I am tempted to do a multi-stream to Twitch and Facebook as well, if Facebook existed in the 1930s. But yeah, I have thought about Twitch, and I was going to do it, set up a test this weekend, but then I was away with the family, so I'll try and do that this week because that appeals to me. But at the moment, I run the whole thing. There's no one else that runs the show, so anything that works or doesn't work or calls getting answered is me or a robot, whatever a robot is in the 30s. Just chatting. Awesome, thank you. I might give that a go for next week. Because I was in two minds about it, and then when I went through some of the stuff on Twitch, they were just random conversations, people having their hair cut, that sort of thing. And I thought, well, if they can do that, then why can't I do this? Well, talk shows and podcasts. Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's really good advice. Thank you. Awesome. Well, we are 27 minutes in. I've got nobody on the line, so I'm going to give it like 3 more minutes, and then I'm going to wrap this up because I don't really want to keep you people listening to me ramble on to myself. I am appreciative of everyone who turns up to watch this show every week. Don't think I'm not. See, as soon as I say that, people start watching the show. It's like as soon as I say, right, I'm going to wrap this up. This category is a lot of viewership, but also less. I'm hoping to build it. It's still fairly new, and people don't necessarily like sharing their experiences with somebody they don't know or somebody they think it might make fun of them. and that's not why I'm doing this. And even with the clips, I don't. The only thing I do with the show clips is edit them down just to the specific call. I don't edit the calls. I'm not making people say things they didn't. I just cut at the start and the end of the call and let the whole thing run. So if somebody talks for 20 minutes, then the clip's 20 minutes. But yeah, I'm try and be open and honest about everything I do. Just talk with chat. Doesn't have to be a call unless you're a specific goal and you won't settle for less than audio. Then people would be more confident talking to you on a call. If somebody does want to share experiences in the side chat, then you are always and I always say that at the start of the show, you're always welcome to just throw something in the side chat. If it's a short question or a short experience, then go for it. If it's something, if you're going to be typing in an essay, then if you wanted to email me it at realcheesemondo@gmail.com, I would be more than happy to read that as an experience out on the show. Southern Hemisphere Globehead, hello. It's all good. It's all good. But yes, if anyone does have thoughts, questions, queries, or just anything they want to share in the side chat, then by all means go for it. That's exactly why it's there, and it's I can see it from two places. So just go for it. But otherwise, it's just me waffling on, which can get slightly tedious for everyone, because I'm sure not all of you want to hear me talk for so long anyway. You interact with the chat well. I think you and this have potential, but a streamers like this, 20 minutes is nothing. Gotta give people time to show up. But that's exactly it. But I can interact with the chat. I do try and keep it to an hour because what happens is I end up losing the audience to something else. I've kind of found a quiet hour, but we end up with other shows moving in on it, which are it becomes a competition. But yes, I am trying to make this work. I don't have a set formula just yet because this is what, the 11th show, and I think I've always had a caller to every show. I've never shut one down without getting a caller, but this might be the first one tonight. And side chat is kind of quiet as well. I think it's only you, me, and Jin talking. Don't be afraid of competition. You build an authentic audience, the community will come to refer. That's what I'm trying, but it's most of my subs at the moment have come from the debunking community. And if somebody like FTFE goes live, then they wander off, and that's cool. That's cool. Tuesdays are quite fun. The last show I did on Thursday was 2 p.m. UK time. So Sarcastic Barman had a premiere 3 p.m. So we wrapped up for that because I'd had my last call of the day, and I'm a patron of the Barman, so it's always good to go over and see what he's up to. Hopefully my mute button worked there. So, Spinas, there's 9 of you watching now. You're against MC2 at the moment. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. There's always a bigger channel that just gets in there. Yeah. MC, there's some channels I can win against and some I can't at the moment. So until I build a bigger audience from the kind of paranormal supernatural community, which I'm trying to do here every week, trying to do that, and I'm trying to get the message out on all the socials and things like that. It's just tricky, and any show that any new show on YouTube is going to be tricky. I am going to try Twitch. That is some excellent advice. I am going to try. I am going to try Twitch. The algorithm isn't doing me any favors at the moment. And I've seen all of the videos that tell you how to build your audience and taken all the advice, and it's still not pushing me. which is frustrating at best. But yeah, Twitch. It was in my head to do Twitch, and I figured out how to do the multicast to different platforms, which should be quite cool. But yeah, maybe Twitch will call in. If I go Twitch though, I will probably have to use Discord, so I'll probably have to drag somebody else in to bounce that room. Because otherwise, the one thing I worry about is when somebody called in and dropped an M-bomb, I had to kill all of the show, download it, edit it, and then re-upload it. But that was massively frustrating. But then it also doesn't look good to YouTube that somebody's using that language on a live stream, and I've let it happen, essentially. You see, there's a fair problem with YouTube audience advice, right? Because the time you qualify to give growth advice, the environment's entirely changed and those methods don't work anymore. That's what I'm trying. Could you try a better time? It's 8:30 a.m. for me. See, everyone, damn globe gets in the way of everything. It's 3:30 a.m. for me. Oh, so if I did let's have a look. I think the one on a Thursday is going to be a better fit for you. That's going to be 9 p.m. UTC, Southern Hemisphere Globe Head. But you're going back to Forgotten Shadows. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing with the best way to get a viewership and get monetized on YouTube is to create a video entitled "How to Get Monetized on YouTube," or "How to Get Your First 1,000 Subs," or "How to Make Your Channel Grow," and then people will subscribe to you for it. So you don't even have to have 1,000 subs. And that's what annoys me at the moment. Is there's a load of people giving out this advice, and when they put the advice up, it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's just not good. But that's the way to build a channel, is to make a video entitled how to gain 1,000 subs. Yes, I've done live streams before back in 2019, built up an audience of 370 followers. Twitch is equivalent to subs. Consistency and communication is key. Got to be here, which is what you get work on, and to interact with chat, well, which you get. Oh, thank you. Got to be here. Yeah, I do it twice a week. Usually do it for an hour twice a week. But what I have noticed is I can't convince supernatural paranormal believers to call in, which that's a reputational thing. Which I'm working on. You got to build some credibility first, which I'm trying to get more active in those communities and ask questions and try and help out where I can. Because then people aren't just going to. I fully appreciate people aren't going to call in to a complete rando and tell us their most terrifying stories or most personal stories about visits from loved ones or seances or things like that, because there's got to be a bit of trust there. And the truth is, this is what, my 11th show, probably my third or fourth week of doing it, and I am a skeptic, and I don't apologize for that. I am a complete skeptic. But that doesn't mean I won't listen to what you've got to say. And I would love for Bigfoot to be true, and I would love for aliens to be visiting and things like that. But it's just a trust thing. It is just a trust thing. Southern Hemisphere Globehead says I'd like 1,000 subs. Wouldn't we all like 1,000? I mean, what am I at now? 417, 418. Somebody's just subscribed. Forgotten Shadows, did you just subscribe? It should have played a tune on the screen, and it didn't. That's really interesting. My alerts aren't working. Southern Hemisphere Globehead, if I had 1,000 subs to share, I would happily share them with you. But I've only got 418. But I'm building. I've picked up a fair few since I've been doing this, about 120 something since I've been doing this. So I am doing something right. There are 100% going to be nights where there's going to be nobody here, and you just got to be okay with that. Mostly I am okay with that. My ego is not fragile enough to get upset if people don't call in. The only thing that is slightly frustrating is there is a slight cost to running the call because the call system has to be live. So it's a little bit of a cost to running the show. Yeah, 7 viewers ain't bad at all. I've had more. I think the last show I did had 20 or 30 watching at the initial go live, and then that normally ramps up to us between 40 and 90. Some of my videos did end up with 200 odd views, which I was really pleased with, but then a bot hit them. I'll tell you, the Beaners were all here. Beaners, there's 8 of us here. I'll tell you what was going on. So what was happening is I realized that I was getting a lot of hits on two of my videos. And of course, you look in your analytics and you think, "Oh, that's great! I'm getting all of these views. I must be doing something right." And then the one day it jumped from something like 230 views up to 780, and I was like, "Great, video's going viral. This is awesome." And then I started picking up subs. All great, and then I noticed that my stats are going slightly awry, and my watch time was going down, and my retention time was going down, and YouTube started removing subscribers. So what I did is I set my analytics to look at the past 48 hours, and what I realized was all of that massive chunk of views that came in wasn't gone viral at all. The video hadn't gone viral at all. What had happened is somebody was using a bot to sorry, there's something. Oh my! Wow. Somebody's using a bot to hit my channel and watch the video. So I had something like 500 views over a period of about 3 hours, and with an average watch time of 13 seconds each. So it wasn't even like a helpful bot; it was a hurtful bot. So my average watch time tanked significantly. My retention time tanked significantly. And then YouTube started removing the dodgy viewers. So if anyone wanted to look at this, I mean, it's public stuff. If you go to something like what's it called, TubeBuddy, and look at my channel for the past month or 2 months, you're going to see minus so many views and minus so many subscribers. So yeah, my channel was hit, and they kept hitting it. And every time I thought the bot had stopped, it would be hit again. So I ended up killing 2 videos and taking them down. And one of them I re-uploaded, and the other one I didn't. And then I took another video down because somebody called in, dropped the M-bomb, and I hadn't had the software. The software was configured to allow somebody to do it, and I didn't realize it. So somebody got the better of me once. But calling into a 21st century call-in show and think you're going to get away with it is a little bit odd. And then they got a little bit upset with me, and PhD Tony ended up blocking them, which was nice because he was looking out for me. But yeah, they got slightly aggressive about it. But I mean, it's not my fault that you call in and were being racist live on a show on YouTube. How is that my problem? How am I the bad guy? Don't know. Forgotten Shadows says 30 was the most I ever hit. To be fair, I only streamed for 2 weeks. Picking up that viewership in 2 weeks is impressive. And yeah, I suspect if you picked up 30 in 2 weeks, then you probably would have got a higher viewership. Being botted sucks in general, even if it's beneficial. It just feels wrong because those people aren't. Just feels wrong because those aren't people who are coming back, and no authentic growth comes from it. It wasn't helpful, and somebody is calling in. Awesome. It wasn't helpful at all. It was. I don't believe anyone was trying to help me. I believe that was malicious, and it wasn't ever something I'd. Call system's doing something odd with whoever's just called in. It wasn't ever any. I never thought it was Ben. Once I figured out what was going on, I was really cross because it, on the face of it, had I not looked at the stats, I would have thought I was doing really well and my video was going nuts, but it wasn't. Okay, so I do have a caller, and it is Sal. And I know who Sal is, but I don't know if she's going to introduce herself as Sal or her YouTube name, so we'll see. And Sal is going to talk about ghosts. So, do that. Let's do that. Get the phone. And let's see if this works, because I've had all kinds of weird audio things. Sal, are you there?
I am. Cheese, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am awake at 3:45 in the morning, so yeah.
What are you doing up so early?
How are you doing?
I'm good. Now
So
I know.
just thought I'd give this a shot.
Well, I know where you are in the world, and I know that there is a significant delay between here and there. So once you start talking, I'm just going to shut up until you stop talking. I think there's about a 3 or 4 second delay, but I'm doing really, really well. Thank you so much for calling in. And tell us, what is it you want to talk about?
Well, I've had a few experiences in this life, and one of them is I was living with my best friend, and apparently their house was haunted. And apparently, I say apparently because there was like a lot of different types of things that were happening, but the only thing they could chalk it down to was like ghosts or even a poltergeist. So the one day, all of us, we went out and there was nobody at home to even say that, somebody did something and like just put it there. So when we got back, there was a drinking glass, like a whiskey glass, that was literally cut in half. So the top part of the glass, clean break, and the bottom part of the glass and the top part of the glass were next to each other on the counter. Right? That was one. Then another time.
Cut.
Go ahead.
Like cut perfectly down the center, or
Perfectly.
like a wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Around, from top to bottom. Like if you look at a whiskey glass, and if you look at it from top to bottom, the top, like almost halfway through, the glass was just cut and perfectly. It wasn't broken. It wasn't in pieces. It was just the top part of the glass was next to the bottom part of the glass.
Wow.
Yeah, and it still really bugs me up to today. And so, yeah, really strange things happened in that house. And the one day, my hubby, my friend's daughter, and I were standing in, it's sort of like the middle area between the rooms and going to the kitchen. So we were standing there, and if you look into the house, there's first a passage and then the doors to the other rooms. And the girls' room door was like where we were standing, we could see it. It wasn't obscured by the passage or anything. And she loved to make these little like paper patterns and then tie them up and hang them, above her door. And we are standing there and she's got 3 of those things hanging there. And we are watching this, and only the middle one was swinging. I mean, it's like a passage. There's no like windows, and the door is far away, or you could say that there was a breeze or something, but there wasn't. And only one was swinging while the other two were still.
That's I've seen a video where that happens, and my first thought would have been breeze or something like that. But did it continue on its own, or did it die down, or what did that? How did that work?
No, no. No, we were standing there for a good 5-7 minutes, just mesmerized by this. The two on the side were still, and the one in the middle was just swinging.
That's impressive. That's really cool. And did they go? Did you all go and investigate, or?
Yes, we like tentatively walked in, to see like maybe her room window was open. It wasn't. And it was the weirdest thing. And then they found out that many, many years ago, because the house was almost 100 years old, and many, many years ago, somebody committed suicide, and it was in that room where, it was her room. And then she caught on to the idea that, oh, there's somebody living in my room with me. And she was quite excited about it. She was a young girl, something like 10, 11 years old. And she was quite fascinated. And she was quite happy that, somebody decided to or I don't know, like live there. It's very difficult to explain because all the happenings had like basically no source. We couldn't find, there was nobody basically to do the things that was happening.
Okay. And when you say the house, just to address High Plains Drafter in the side chat, who says, please assure us you're not some head up the ass, willfully ignorant person, aka a flat earther. Definitely not a flat earther. We do live on a globe.
He definitely doesn't know who I am.
And
I am Southern Hemisphere globehead, dude.
And I'm talking to a glober as well. So neither of us are flat earthers. I would say we're both. I'm a skeptic. And I don't have any strong views on paranormal supernatural things. I am wide open to the idea that some of these things are real. Fully appreciate that a lot of these things do seem to be real and that people can't explain them. And that's the point of this show, is I want to hear what people like Sal here have got to say. So, sorry, Sal. So, at what point did they think that they had a poltergeist in the house? I mean, you said that they were well known for it. Did they realize when they moved in? Were they told about it? How did this come about?
I actually don't know how, because when she moved into the house, I was with her. We all moved into the house together. And then I left for about a year or two. And when I got back, the swinging, the little paper thing swinging from the door happened before I left. So when I got back, things had already escalated for them, I could say. Look, I'm a skeptic also. But when you see something like that, like the things I've seen and experienced in that house, it's difficult to separate yourself and say, oh, it's only in your mind, or it's somebody just playing a trick on you. It's difficult to turn on your skepticism when you see it with your own eyes. And I can say, no, I wasn't on some, hallucinogen drug or something like that. No, we were all just normal people, just experiencing this weird stuff in this house.
That's
So with the poltergeist, yeah.
That's what makes it really interesting, is because I've had a lot of skeptics call in and say that they've seen. I've had a skeptic call in who I know is a debunker, and we've talked about lights in the sky and odd things happening, and some of them he was able to explain to himself, and some of them he wasn't. And sometimes you just don't know. You can try and be a skeptic about it, but sometimes you just don't know. And while they might not be paranormal or supernatural, it's definitely something odd that happened to you. You just can't explain.
Yes, and look, the lights in the sky thing, I don't worry too much about. I'm more interested in like the personal stuff, things that happen to you. And what I realized is that most people don't really pay attention. Something could happen and, oh, it's just something. And when you think about it, some things just shouldn't happen, but they do. And that would be the example of the thing swinging in front of the door. People can say whatever they want, whether it's a breeze or somebody blowing on it or something. But when there's three and only one is swinging, what kind of answer do you give yourself? What kind of thing do you tell yourself to make it okay? It's just something normal.
That's that's why I love hearing calls like this, is because you can go at it with all the skepticism in the world, and unless you get up there and measure it and start testing for vibrations and wind and magnetism and things like that, it's just an odd thing. It's just an odd thing that happened, and that's why I like getting some of these calls, is because it it's not somebody like yourself saying, "Hey, I've seen a ghost." It's like, "Well, this weird thing happened and I can't explain it," which is absolutely fine. We're not always going to be able to explain everything.
And that's the thing that bugs me about a lot of things. Look, we can be skeptics, that is great, but I know that people say, oh, it's just your anecdote, it's just your experience. How can we verify it scientifically? Can you repeat the observation or whatever happened to you? Let's do an experiment. These types of things don't work like that. And sure, you can be a skeptic, but you can't just dismiss somebody's experience. For example, last year, we were on a very hard lockdown, and the police were going around looking for like your liquor license and your operating licenses and things like that. And the cops pulled up here, and I'm telling you, I was just walking past. I was on my way to the shop, and they pulled in, and next thing, their tire just. There was no, and I looked, there was no nail there, and they were stopped. Like they pulled in and they turned off the car, and next thing their tire just burst. Now, instead of coming into the shop to ask for the papers, they were there trying to fix their tire. Like, what? Why would they be stopped from going into the shop to get the papers? It's not that I'm saying it is something. I'm just saying that this thing happened and it stopped them from doing whatever they had to. So it just helped the people in the shop to get their papers ready. And when they came in, the people in the shop had their papers ready to show them. I don't know why there would have been a delay, but that's what happened. And there was no reason for that tire to have a puncture.
And yeah, that's things like that's where superstitions and things come from, isn't it? When people connect the dots between behavior. I've got a question from the side chat though, Sal. Going back to this swinging lights, did the light
Yeah, no,
was the light
paper.
slowing down? Can you see that question?
No, I can't see anything. I'm on that call thing.
Okay, so
No, it wasn't a light. It was pieces of paper.
oh, paper. So
It wasn't a light.
so the
Yes,
question.
she made these little animal patterns and stuff, and then attached a string to it, and then attached it to the top of a doorway. It was
Okay,
pieces of paper.
okay. So the question was, did that paper continue to swing, or did it ever naturally come to a stop?
For as long as we were watching it, it was swinging. And that was about 5-7 minutes.
So it didn't appear to be like it appeared to be under some, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I guess it appeared to have some kind of power, action to it, because it wouldn't have, a pendulum would have slowed down, wouldn't it?
Yes, and my thing is, why weren't the other two, because there were three, and only the one in the middle was swinging, the other two were still. You see, I mean, I'm an adult. This happened a good, I'd say, somewhere in 2007. So, you know, I'm an adult. It's difficult to reconcile. Oh, you know, you're a sane-minded person, and then you've experienced this thing, and even up to today, you can't make sense of it. Why did that happen? And it stays like an unsolved mystery.
And did things get worse in the house for them then, or was that as worse as it got?
Yeah, things got worse.
Oh goodness!
Things got so bad that they even closed off the one room, and in the granny flat, we call it a granny flat. I don't know what you call it. It's like a little house in the back of the main house. Mm-hmm. Like a little cottage, and in the cottage they closed off the whole main bedroom because they couldn't handle what was happening in that house.
So what prompted them to do? How bad did it get them to close off a whole room? Seems fairly extreme. What prompted that then?
It seemed like when you went into that room, your whole thought process changed. My hubby was in that room, and in his mind, I would say in his mind, but there was like an actual conversation where he gave up the room. Okay, because they gave us the cottage to live in, and it's a 2-bedroom cottage, you know, with a kitchen and a bathroom and stuff. And he went in there to like see, where we're going to put this and where we're going to put that. And when he came out, he said, no, it's fine. We're not going to live in this room. I've given up the room. And he went on to explain that there was a conversation, but I suspect it was more in his mind, you know, like it wasn't like a real conversation with the person to person, but he came back with the decision, we need to let whoever lives there to carry on living there. It was weird. It doesn't make sense when I explain it, but when it happened, it's almost, I don't know, can say followed a natural course of action. That's what it seemed like. It was weird. It's almost difficult to explain.
I think the side chat are having trouble reconciling those two sides of you, because we've all seen your videos, and if you haven't seen any of Sal's videos, check out Southern Hemisphere Globehead. And I believe Mippet posted the link to your channel a few minutes ago. But Yes, because you are a skeptic, and you are able to get into discussing, why the Earth isn't flat, and the calculations and the science around it. So it's not like you set out to
Yes.
believe in ghosts. It's not like you went looking for a ghost and then found something that fit the criteria. It's always interesting.
No.
It's great to get a skeptic call
Even
in.
now, it's not like I really believe in ghosts, Cheese. It's not like I really believe in ghosts, but you can't rule anything out. It just doesn't mean because we can't demonstrate what happened. And if you ask other people who have had these types of experiences, it's not something on command. It's not something, you can set up an experiment and say, let's see if this thing is happening. Those things are almost like spontaneous, I would say.
And that's it, isn't it? A lot of these things you can't. If you could set up an experiment, somebody would have done it by now and proved it either way. But it doesn't seem to work like that.
And what I can't do is discount somebody's experience.
It's not necessarily great. It's not necessarily great evidence, but yes, that's partly why I set this show up. Is I got tired of debunking stuff and being a complete killjoy to everything, and I've kind of said, well, people actually do believe that these things are real, but even as skeptics, we still have these experiences that we can't explain. And I just thought this might be a great way to get people to share their experiences. And so you don't necessarily have to believe in ghosts to call in, but if you've experienced something weird, then like this, I want to know. It's great.
Yes, look, I've had quite a few experiences, but not like really just ghosts, but just other things that when you look back and you evaluate what happened, for me, basically, it's like, how the hell did I survive that? Like, what really happened? I've had at least 4 or 5 experiences where I wonder what happened and how come I'm still alive. That has happened to me. Besides the experience in that house, in my own life, the fact that I'm even alive is a wonder.
So, do you have any kind of religious belief, or are you atheist, agnostic, something like that?
I don't know exactly what I identify as, but I've been told I'm an atheist. But I have a religious background. I was born into Hinduism, and then I was a Christian. But for the past 5-6 years, I've been non-religious.
That's quite a journey from Hinduism to Christianity to almost atheism. Right? Let's just say almost atheism, so we're not putting you in a box somewhere. Yeah, that's quite a journey. So the idea of spiritual things then is, I guess you might be open. I don't want to put words. Yeah. Look,
you guys in the Western world, I do feel that you guys have a little bit less. I would call it spirituality. And this is not. I'm not knocking you guys for it, but in South Africa, we are very cultural and traditional and spiritual. Even the Black cultures are very, very spiritual. And the white people here also are quite spiritual, probably, interacting with the cultures of this place. And when we say something like, the Black cultures have their witch doctors and their sangomas and things, where if you want to I would say, read your life. You can go there and they will throw the bones and sort of read, um, whatever is happening, however they do it. And you guys in the Western world don't really understand when we talk about these things. It's just, oh, God doesn't exist and you don't need to do that and that is not necessary. But these people, the Indians, and I saw in a couple of other cultures around the world, they are extremely spiritual. They certain things happen to them, they experience certain things, and then when we explain it to other people who don't have these kinds of experiences, they just shut it off as if, oh, it's not really like that. But in Africa and in India and places like that, this is a thing.
And that's where I'm at. I don't have a religion. I'm not not big into religion, but if I did, I think I could quite easily go for a religion that had lots of gods, polytheistic type arrangement. I quite like the idea of having a god of the wind and a god of the sea and a god of the sky and a god of the crops, that type of things. Maybe like some of the old kind of, the Romans had gods.
Greek
for
gods.
Yeah, the Greek gods and
Yeah.
the Romans had a lot of gods. I could go for something like that. I do have a pagan friend who casts spells and prays to the god of the east and the god of the sun and that type of thing. And that I quite like that. That's quite a neat. If I had a religion, I'd go that way.
You might enjoy Hinduism. Look, I was a Hindu, but I was born in South Africa, so we are not, I'd say, the same type of Indians like from India. And when I hear people talking about like the Hindu religion and they've got like a million gods and stuff like that, I just laugh because I don't think that there are that many. And but in the Hindu religion, there are different gods like for your education and like your naughtiness and things like that. And they are the creator and the destroyer and things like that. Um, if I had to go back to any religion, like if something happened and they say pick a religion, I would go back to Hinduism. It's very colorful. It's very festive, and yeah.
That's something. Yeah, that's something I would be more inclined to go for that type of religion rather than like monotheistic Christianity type thing. I would like the idea of.
Christianity is not a monotheistic.
I like the idea of.
Christianity is not a monotheistic religion.
Well, let's not.
Sorry,
Let's
there
not.
are three.
Yeah, let's not crack open that can of worms, because we'll never get out.
Yes. I can tell you this one experience I had at that time. This was a very long time ago, but I was in the middle of nowhere. I had a lift coming from Cape Town back to Durban, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and I needed a toilet break. So the driver stopped, and I crossed the road, to go out of sight. And when I was returning, I looked. In South Africa, they say, look right, look left, and look right again before you cross the road. So I looked right, there were no vehicles. I looked left, there was no vehicle. I looked right again, there was nothing. And as I took a step from the yellow line to the road to start crossing, a taxi flew past me and ended up in the opposite lane. So when I was looking right and left, it's quite a straight road, and you can see for a good distance in either direction. And I don't know where this taxi came from, and it it was coming at a speed, I'd say at least 110 k's an hour. And in order to miss me, he had to go to the other side of the road, and all I saw was him on the other side of the road. The taxi, I mean, I'm calling the taxi a him. Saw the taxi heading to the other side of the road because he had to miss me. I don't know where he came from, because when I looked, there were no vehicles.
Yeah, well, I'm a Brit, so we drive on a different side of the world to a different side of the road to some of the rest of the world, particularly America, where I am at the moment. That look left, look right has caught me out a few times because I've been looking in the wrong direction, and I've walked out. My first month here, I almost got knocked down every other day because I was looking in the wrong direction for traffic.
Sorry about that.
So this taxi, you didn't hear it then, because that would have. Did you hear it before it got there, or was it silent and then as it got past you?
The taxi came from the right. So okay. I looked right, I looked left, I looked right. There was nothing. I stepped onto the road, and next thing it was almost like a whoosh go past me, like that fast wind when something passes you. And when I looked, I saw that it was this vehicle that obviously had swerved to miss me and was now in the opposite lane. It's unexplainable. Obviously, I will never be able to go back and find an explanation to what happened. I can say something really silly like, "Oh, that vehicle came out of another dimension," or something silly like that, But in reality, I will never find that answer.
No, yeah, you could go down the time traveler trans-dimensional portal route, but probably not going to get too many fires for that one.
Yes, so it's something that you just chalk up to. Oh, that happened, and I'll never be able to explain it. So I might as well just move on with my life.
Yes, and in the side chat, Forgotten Shadows has just written, interdimensional driving is illegal.
Yes, I'm sure. Cheese, my data has been used up, so what I'm going to do is go.
Okay.
I'll try and call again, and we can have another chat.
Awesome. And I still owe you a few replies to messages I haven't forgotten. I'll explain why I'm late on doing that when I talk to you off the air sometime.
No problem. Just hit me up on Discord. I've connected myself to your Discord.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much, and thank you so much for calling in, Sal. Sure,
man. Have a good day.
Awesome. You too. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sal. That was, let's just put that back the way it should be. Always a pleasure to talk to Sal. Sal is Southern Hemisphere Globehead. Miffit has been, hello Miffit, by the way. Miffit's been doing a bit of shilling in the side chat, so check out Southern Hemisphere Globehead's channel. She does a lot of flat earth debunking, a lot of observations that people don't do. So when somebody says do your own research, she's one of the few people in the community that will say okay and then make a video about it. I do owe Sal a number of messages back. I've been slacking on Discord and things later. Incidentally, if anyone has been messaging me on Discord and not got a reply, it's not because I don't like you. There's been something else going on. And I will tell you about it when we talk. Yeah, thank you, Mippet. Mippet is an awesome moderator. She keeps all of us in line in the community, make sure we're all where we're supposed to be when we need to be, and she's really nice. And I owe you a phone call as well, Mippet, because I haven't spoken to you in too long. So I'll get in touch with you as well, because I'm crap lately at checking in with people. Nobody on the lines. Has anyone got any thoughts, questions, queries, or general jokery in the side chat that they want to talk about? Any questions? Anything I need to know about? Anything paranormal? Hello, Colorado Biker. Drop part of your username there. See, I need to ask you about that as well sometime, because that's something I'd like to do. I'm going to do a different show to this, and I've talked about it a few times, but I've just not got there. I am going to do something along the lines of a bad advice show, where I'm going to use the same software, get people to call in, or maybe use Discord as well. And then they can I'll form a panel of people. You can then call in with your first world issues, and the panel will give you some really bad advice. I thought that might be quite funny, and we can have a bit of a joke around while we're doing it, and then we're not stepping on anyone's beliefs or ideas at that point. It's just a bit of a silly call-in show, and we could kind of hang out and see how that goes. Everything at the moment has gone slightly weird. I'm getting all kinds of notifications and things about stuff that's happening, and this happened before, and it was quite creepy. After somebody called in and dropped ruined one of my streams, I then got stalked on Facebook and Instagram. So somebody went right the way through every single one of my Instagram pictures and liked them and wrote dirty comments on them. And then somebody found pictures of me and my significant other on Facebook and shared them amongst their friends, which was really nasty. But that's been fixed. But I'm just a bit worried now because this happened last time I was live and I can't really see what's going on, so never mind. Hopefully it's all just regular traffic and all the notifications have come in at once. But people on the internet can be mean, which is fine. You can be mean to me if you want. I don't care. As long as you're not being mean to my family. I don't care. You can be mean. So, stream's buffering as well. This isn't a good day today. I can see the stream buffering. So, there are 9 of you watching, 6 likes. That's pretty good, thank you. Who was it that was asking if I was a flat earther? And let's see if they're still here. Where are you? High Plains Drafter. High Plains Drafter. Do you? What did you ask? Have I got my head up my ass or something like that? Why can't I find you in the side chat? Hopefully nobody's blocked you. That would be upsetting. Give me a second, folks. I've lost a message from the side chat. High Plains Drafter, please assure us you're not some head-up-the-ass, willfully ignorant person, aka flat earther. Definitely not a flat earther. Interesting that you would ask that question, though. Is that because... How did you... Okay, High Plains Drafter, I've not seen your username before. If you're still there, how did you find this show, please? And what made you ask if I was a flat earther or not? Is that just because of the topic that we're discussing, or have I done something to give the impression that I am a flat earther? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with hearing people's experiences, and also listening to supernatural paranormal beliefs. And those beliefs, I mean, you could claim that religion might be supernatural paranormal. You could, there's all kinds of things that you could claim are supernatural paranormal, and I'm genuinely interested in hearing people's stories. I'm kind of done with debunking, because it's not really fun, especially when it turns into. Well, you all know, anyone in the debunking community knows how these things usually end up. You always end up in some kind of YouTube war where you end up with your favorite channel that you always go to and debunk, and then they make a rebuttal video and stuff like that, and it gets a bit tedious. I found it tedious, and it wasn't fun, because essentially you're doing somebody else down, which didn't sit well. One guy deserved it. I've taken that video down since, but one guy really deserved it, and I don't regret making that video, because that's what you get for being an ass, and saying some of the horrible things that you did about me. Was there was no need for it, because I'd been mostly fine. But that's why I've stopped. So instead of I thought I'd start asking questions instead of debunking stuff, asking questions and letting people talk, which is the point of this show. Forgotten Shadow says stream hasn't buffered for me. Okay, maybe it's just my computer. It wouldn't be the first time my computer has gone slightly AWOL during a stream. I think about 2 weeks ago, it just gave up completely. All of the things, all of the intro and things like that, I've got timers on them. All of the timers gave up. The audio didn't work. Stuff just, I don't know. It was just a really, really bad show. Nothing was happening. Mipit says that really sucks. I couldn't imagine being mean. I couldn't imagine me being mean. I'm not perfect. I can be sometimes, but I try not to. I try and be nice. And again, that's the point of the show. I'm not gonna. A few times I've seen people in side chat, saying that somebody's story doesn't make sense, or it's silly, or they've been overly critical of a story. Not necessarily today, but over the past few shows. And it's fine to have that view of it, and it's fine to say those things. But it's not what I set out to do on these shows. So I'm happy to ask guests or callers questions from the side chat like that, but I'm not gonna say to a caller that what they're saying is rubbish, or start debunking them, because that's not. It would be disingenuous to get somebody on and then say, ha ha ha, physics says that can't happen, show me the evidence. It's just not going to fly. And I'd much rather hear people's stories, because I've seen things that I can't necessarily explain. I don't believe in ghosts, but yet I've seen somebody on the second floor of a building looking at me, and when we went inside the building, there was no floor for them to stand on. So I don't understand how that worked, but I definitely saw somebody. And it's things like that. You can be, the biggest skeptic in the world, and you're still gonna have these odd experiences which aren't necessarily paranormal, supernatural. It's just something you can't explain, and that's really what I want to hear, because I'm sure all of us, if we're honest with ourselves, have had something in our lives that we can't explain. Even you've never seen people just casually ignoring gravity. It's what the kids are into these days. Yeah, pesky kids would have got away with it had it not been for gravity. We've even had PhD Tony's called in a couple of times, and he is a skeptic and an educated guy, and he debunks himself, which is superb. But he's had those moments where initially what's happening doesn't make any sense, and it's not until you step back and look at it. But he debunks most of it himself, which is fine. If he wants to debunk his own stuff, that's cool. So where are we? It's almost 8:30. Hello, Tony Regime. Haven't seen you for a while. Don't be sorry, you're here now. You have missed a call from Southern Hemisphere Globehead, who told us about some unexplained events in a friend's house, where some hanging paper was moving on its own. That was interesting, and there was also a taxi that whooshed past her, even though she checked the traffic. And I don't want to mislead anyone by saying more about the stories, you're probably better off going back and listening to those yourself, because I will reinvent what the story actually was, which is why I'm always really careful what I say, because I don't want to be misleading people or misrepresenting people. I do cut some of the calls up into clips. They're as exactly as the caller said them. I don't edit them to make the callers sound weird or funny or mislead anyone. You can find those on my channel. I'll be putting those on a separate channel as well at some point. But at the moment, I'm looking to I need the subscribers here, and I need more people watching, really. Because a lot of you watch it on catch up, which is cool, but it doesn't help me because then nobody calls into the show. So if everybody watched it on catch up, then there wouldn't be anything to watch, would there? Which does ask, I do have a question then, being as there's a fair few of us here and we're all fairly vocal. Southern Hemisphere Globehead asked me to move the show. For me, this started at 7 p.m., which it would be 6 p.m. California and 8 p.m. New York side of the country. Now, I'm not great on time zones and things in the US, but is this the wrong time for a show? Could I be running this later at night? Could if this was an hour later in the future? Sorry, a load of notifications just came in. If it was an hour later or 2 hours later, would it be a better time? Am I going to get more people? Is this eating into your evening with your families? You know, how are we doing? Or is it just because I'm up against some of the bigger channels right now? MC Toon, I believe, is live at the moment. Is it just because I'm up against MC Toon? What do you think? Is the time right? Is the day right? Where am I going wrong with this? Because you good people are watching, so you get a say on when this runs, and everyone else is going to have to roll with it. Give that a few seconds. A story passed by me. Cheese is returning, so a dragon swooped down to buy some of my homemade bread. We were out of crayons to the bowling. Yes, that's exactly why I don't try and retell somebody's story, because it would go from it would go from something reasonable like I was caught out by a car to yes, there was a dragon appeared from a time portal and tried to steal my soul, and it would become more interesting than more graphic than the caller actually said, which would be misrepresenting the caller, so I try not to. I don't think time zone is really relevant in any way, because your audience is going to come back based on what they when they first showed up. And that's kind of why I've been sticking to this time, but I'm not convinced that it's a good time. And certainly the 2 p.m. one I do on a Thursday, that's a bit hit and miss. But we'll see. I'll stick with it unless anyone's got any strong thoughts about when this should be done. I have thought about a much later show, but then later for me is, you know, if I did one at 10 p.m. then it's going to be 11 p.m. midnight for the rest of the country one way, and 8 p.m. Good for Mippet. Well, there we go. That works for me. It's just you and me, Mippet. I'll just have to get you to call in. Like, had you gone online for 2 hours from now, I might not have seen this, but at the same time, that might have allowed someone who isn't. Exactly. That's what I'm struggling with, is finding the right damn time for it. I might just stick with this and see what. Sorry, another notification. That's not good. Yeah, somebody's screwing with me again. So I might just stick with this time, and try and build the audience. And again, if any of you do know anyone that has had a supernatural paranormal experience or some kind of weird experience and they don't mind sharing it, then pass them a link to the show. They can see what it's all about, and then they can always join at a later date. The joining details are I usually set up the live streams a good few days in advance, so the joining details are in the description of that video. And then get them to call in, and I think that's the only way this is going to build. I think the YouTube isn't pushing it, and I don't know how to get YouTube to push it. because it doesn't seem to like this type of stuff. So the only way it's going to get there is by word of mouth. So if you could share it, or at least tell people about it, point them in this direction. We all know somebody who's had an experience, and usually they love talking about it, and they'll get a. I'm not here to to make fun or debunk. I just generally want to hear what went on. I might ask the odd question. I think mostly people are sick of hearing me talk, and they'd rather hear somebody else. So I'd rather have a load of callers. Mippet says, "Prepare for some shilling." Thank you, Mippet. That I am trying to get out to on the socials and things like that. Tweets and Facebook. I'm in about 15 different paranormal, supernatural Facebook groups, but they do have the same questions. Am I going to make fun of them? Am I genuine? Is it, are they going to be embarrassed by it? And hopefully, the more of these shows I do, the more evidence there will be that people are going to get it should be a good time. I'm not here to give people a grilling. I don't think I've upset anyone on calls yet. I'm always really, open-minded about things. I am a skeptic, and I'm not going to tell you I believe in all of this stuff. But I would like to hear about. I could go for Bigfoot being real. I really could. That's one of my things. And then UFOs, I'm kind of cool with as well. And then there's always those bumps and noises in the night and things like that. Religious stuff I'm quite into as well. I like the idea of. I'd love to get a demon experience. I think the closest I've got, or I'm not sure if it's me buffering or my computer. I haven't seen a warning from YouTube, Jin, so I think that might be you. But I did think I saw it buffering earlier. But it's not telling. It says we're good now, and we've been good for a while. Yeah, I think it might be Jin. Forgotten Shadow says they don't have any buffering. But yeah, that's it. It's 8:35. Has anyone got anything in the side chat that they wanna talk about? Anything weird or wonderful that they've seen recently, or anything I need to be looking at? But yeah, I could go for Bigfoot. I could go for aliens, and the idea. I don't have, as I said, I don't have a religion, but the idea of demons intrigues me. And I think it depends on which religion you have, depending on your outlook on demons. But there are some people, the idea of exorcisms seems a little bit odd to me. But I am aware that the Catholic Church does have exorcists. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's not a real thing, but there's got to be something in it for a religion to have specific people set up to deal with things like that. And it's those type of experiences as well. I mean, if anybody wants to call and talk about demonic possession, I would love it. It would be superb. I've had two strange UFO things happen. As far as a religion, I consider myself a pagan, but lean towards philosophy rather than faith. And that's a good position to be in. I think that's a good position to be in. That kind of leaves you open to a lot of things. It's when you get into Christianity and things like that. I think it doesn't allow other things, does it? Especially because nowhere in the Bible does it say, and God created UFOs. But if anybody does want to talk about Christianity, then I'm good. I'm good with that as well. Especially if you had particular religious revelation experience, where God or an angel or something like that appeared to you. Explicitly states, yeah, you aren't to consider other options. It's fairly closed, but then that leads you down a rabbit hole. Let's not get too much into it, because I was born into Catholicism, and for various reasons, I don't have a religion at the moment. That's not to say I won't ever have a religion. I just don't have a religion at the moment. I probably would consider myself atheist right now. But if somebody could call in and give me a good reason to believe in something, then I would love that. That would be. There are other shows on the internet that do that sort of thing. But if somebody wanted to convince me that that there was a particular God, I am good with that. Forgotten Shadow says, I grew up around Christianity, but it was never forced onto me. It wasn't. Was it forced onto me? That's a tricky thing. It wasn't so much forced onto me. I was born into it. My grandmother and great grandmother were of Irish descent. I grew up in South Wales, and it was always assumed that I was going to be. I was just born Catholic. My mum's mum always wanted me to be a priest, but I wasn't. I lost faith before I ever got that far. I was baptized and then confirmed in junior school, so I would have been about 10. Don't know how old, about 10 or 12, something like that. But went through all of those classes, read the Bible. I was an altar server for a good few years in the Catholic Church. I helped out with baptisms and funerals and weddings and Sunday service. Some weeks I would do 2 Sunday services. I knew all of the Catholic prayers by heart, and even days where the priest had a choice of prayers that they could use at their discretion. It would only take 2 words of the priest saying the start of those prayers, and I would know what the rest of that was by heart. So yeah, I was fairly heavy into that sort of thing. I'm not sure I ever really believed his but various things happened, and then I ended up not going. And I'll talk about that another day if anyone is interested. Not really the time and place on this show. Lots of things happening in the side chat. My mother's believes in what she calls the higher power, but I'd be willing to bet if forced to make a choice, she'd fall back to Christianity. The idea of high power is quite nice. I would like that. Then I would have questions as to why certain things happened. Why do bad things happen to good people? And that's a conversation for a different show. Let's not get into that. But yeah, a lot of people would fall back to Christianity, I believe, as well. Forgotten Shadow says, I was only ever forced to go to church once, and it was extremely boring and miserable to me. It depends. See, it depends. To me, this is where if anyone's seen the movie Dogma, and we're going slightly off track, but there's nobody on the line, so I can afford to do this. If anyone's seen the movie Dogma, they talk about Catholicism, Catholics not celebrating their religion, but they mourn it. And everything seems to be rather somber in Catholicism. And you're right, you go to church and eventually you get to know all of the prayers and when to stand and when to kneel and when to go to the front and all of that, and you could do it on autopilot, and it is fairly somber. Lots of the hymns I always thought were slightly depressing. I was learning to play the church organ at once, but I didn't get on with it. The priest actually, I practiced a few times, and the priest actually told me that I was too jolly to play the organ in church because it had to be more serious music. Well, that's fine if you're gonna spoil it like that. But I don't see any reason why religion should be miserable. I don't think it should. I think if you do have a religion, I think it should bring joy to your life and not be a chore to go to church every week. And in Dogma, I love Dogma. I think it should be essential viewing for anyone who's got a religion, because it kind of pokes fun at religion, but it points out some of the flaws in Christianity, but then spins it in a way that is quite positive. It's not running down Christianity as such. Although I do like the idea that because if anyone hasn't seen it, then take a look, because it's great. But the premise is that two angels undo existence by defying God and finding a loophole because of dogmatic law, based on something in the Bible. It's awesome. So yeah, basically two angels trying to get back into heaven almost undoes existence. It's a great thing, and it tackles the idea of race and skin color and things like that in the Bible. Forgotten Shadow says, because in Catholicism you're essentially a victim by default and in need of saving. You aren't supposed to enjoy the now, you're supposed to suffer and enjoy the after. That's part of my issue with Christianity, is that this isn't the life you have to worry about. The next one, your next life is great. So this is more of a test to some people, or a trial. Doesn't sit well with me, because then you're not making the best of this life, and I'd rather make the best of this one and risk being wrong. A bit Pascal's wager, I guess. I'd rather risk being wrong, and I believe it if I think if I'm wrong and there is a God, then when I get to whatever the judgment room is, be that purgatory or the pearly gates or whatever it is, if I'm stood before St. Peter at pearly gates, I can say, well, yeah, I didn't go to church every week, but at least I tried to do the best I could. And I'm so, and I didn't see any evidence to believe in you, but I'm sorry. And I think a reasonable God would say, yeah, come on in, you're fine. Yes, but you are born with original sin, which is again is an odd belief, really. A bit the fact that a baby is born and has to be baptized. See, we've wandered into a whole minefield of religious belief here. Yeah, for a baby to be born with original sin is an odd idea. I was better suited to play the organ in a cinema. I should have gone for a cinema. I probably would have been. I probably would have done a better job. Yeah, you're right there, Tony. Forgotten Shadow says, I think church specifically is a lot like teachers in school, with a person preaching and the way they go about it makes a world of difference on if it's engaging or not. And then goes on to say, if we consider the possibility of reincarnation, then Catholicism is a massive risk on itself, because if we come back and forget, then the next life never comes. It's always the current life. Yes, you never get to enjoy the afterlife, because you just come back and you have no idea that you've just been born again. So it just becomes cyclic. Oh, that would mess with you. If you thought about that for too long, that's going to mess with your head, isn't it? You would never know the difference. You would always assume that you were born with sin and live, and the next life is going to be the best one, and the next life comes and you always think it's this life. And wow, that does become a really horrible cyclic torture. That's almost like hell. If anyone's seen The Good Place, that would be hell, wouldn't it? Where that's a great show as well, The Good Place, where they're all sent to hell and they think they're really in heaven. Hopefully I've not spoiled that for anyone. It's in about its 8th series or 7th series, so I don't think anyone is going to be too upset to be spoiling that one. But check out The Good Place as well, because it's highly entertaining. But the idea that demons can torture you by creating an environment that you can be the worst version of you and essentially torture yourself and torture those people around you by virtue of being a bad person or being you is superb. And it's so funny. Mippet says, Lucifer on Netflix is good. You get the real story about angels and God. I haven't seen that one. I've just started watching a show called Evil, which is in its 2nd series. And that goes down the route of demonic possession and things like that. That's quite cool. Good Omens as well. Jin says, I really enjoy Neil. I want to say Gaiman's Good Omens. That was that's good fun. That's good. Yeah, you get your own personal hell. Yes, the idea of your own personal hell, or yeah, where you torture yourself. It's such a great idea. Have I watched Serial? Why has that only appeared on one screen? Have you watched Serial Experiments Lane? No, I haven't. I haven't seen that. I have not seen that at all. Is that where would I go and find that? It can be essentially described by the question: what if God had an existential crisis? Yeah. See, we should have there should be a spin-off of this where we just talk about TV. Maybe I need a TV discussion show, and I instead of me having to thumb through the guides, all of you good people can tell me what I should and shouldn't be watching. What if God has an existential crisis? I guess they wouldn't be an omnipotent God at that point. It's a cyberpunk anime series exploring transhumanism and the concept of universal consciousness. I have seen a few things about universal consciousness, and that's quite a nice idea. The idea that everything you think about yourself isn't inside your brain, it's outside your brain, and we're all part of essentially the same consciousness. I quite like that idea. That's quite neat. But then that leads itself into a simulation and Matrix type stuff. But that yeah, everything about yourself that makes you isn't inside your head. It's actually outside of your head. Let me just clear this alert a second. David Tennant was great as a demon. Yeah, that was it. Still getting loads of alerts, and it's making me slightly uncomfortable. There's 11 of you watching. Thank you so much. If you haven't made yourself known, if you are one of the 11 that isn't in the side chat, jump in the side chat, say hello, and everyone will say hello back to you. And it's always interesting because people don't play the heist games so much on this stream, but they do on other live streams I've done. Sometimes they just join the live streams, just start playing the heist games, and it doesn't matter what I say or what I do, as long as they're playing the heist games. They don't seem to mind, but nobody plays it on these streams, which is quite nice. So clearly I must be doing something right, that you're not bored enough to sit and play those games. Forgotten Shadow says, more like, what if you see yourself, more like, what if you see yourself as isn't the actual you, but more like a character you've invested in at the moment. You're invested in at the moment. There is that idea that the only place you exist as a person is inside your own head. Because of the way you view yourself. Nobody else sees you the way that you view yourself. I read that in a book. I forget the name of the book. I read that recently. Oh, right. I am going to wrap the show up in a minute. The lines have just closed by themselves, so I'm going to take that as an omen that the call system has had enough. So I'm not going to restart that. So if you are trying to call in, I'm very sorry. The next show is going to be Thursday. Look for the URL on my channel for that. But yes, the idea that the view you have of yourself isn't shared by anyone else that's met you, because everyone else has got a different experience of you So I might think I'm a great person, and nobody else might share that sentiment about me. Says the only thing that you can know to be true is your own existence. Yeah, would you see? Let's not get into philosophy too much. Would you say that you can can you be 100% sure? Can you be absolutely certain that you exist, or do you just have a fair approximation? Forgotten Shadows. David Tennant is pretty awesome. He was Doctor Who for a while. That's where I first saw him. But yeah, I do like David Tennant. And I'm not sure what the delay is on the stream, but so yeah, Forgotten Shadows. Forgotten Shadows. Can you be absolutely sure that you exist, or do you just have a reasonable belief? Can you be 100% certain? You can be absolutely certain you exist simply by the logic of, in order to question if you exist, you need to exist first. Hold on. You can be absolutely certain you exist by simply the logic of, in order to question if you exist, you need to exist first. Is that I think therefore I am? I'm sure that's a philosophical rabbit hole that we could go down as well. Do I actually exist? Is there any proof that I exist other than outside of my own head? Other than inside my own head? Don't know. Not much of a philosopher. Something doesn't exist, it can't be capable of questioning its existence because it isn't there in the first place. I suppose that's a good point. So if something doesn't exist, it isn't capable of questioning if it exists. Because if it, I guess it depends what existence is. Am I a physical being, or am I just a thought somewhere? I could very well be a simulation. I could be a simulation, and that's an interesting thing. Because everything is essentially fly by wire, isn't it? Everything is processed. Everything I touch isn't really me. Isn't the sensation of actually touching it. It's my brain's interpretation of touching it. Color is my own interpretation. The world around me, people, smoking a joint. I'm a physical being. Anyway, folks, this has been a lot of fun. I am gonna wrap this up. Thank you all so much for coming in. Thank you to Sal for calling in. I want to thank Forgotten Shadows for the huge input into the show. Yeah, you're getting caught up in defining reality. Just because your existence might not be the end all. The end all. Objective reality doesn't mean it isn't real. Experience defines reality in my book. Experience defines reality. Yes. Yes, I can see that one. Experience defines reality. Yes. Way too philosophical for this show. I'm not much of a philosopher, as I said. Again, thank you all so much for sticking with me. There's 11 of you watching now, and you've been watching for about 2 hours, so I'm really, really grateful for that. Next show is going to be Thursday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. It's going to be 9 p.m. UK. The rest of the world, I think that's 10 p.m. UTC. If it is your first time here, please do consider subscribing. Leave a comment on the video. Thank you to anyone who has joined in today. Somebody did subscribe during the show. I've got no idea who that is because it didn't tell me. This has been a lot of fun. And again, thank you to Sal. And I'm going to stop saying thank you, and we're just going to get the hell out of here. I am out. I will try Twitch. I might do a double cast to Twitch on the Thursday show if I can get the mechanics going in time. Otherwise, it'll be sometime next week. Thank you to Mippet and everyone else in the side chat. And good night. Goodbye. See you soon.